Wind tore across the empty valley, lifting dust from the tracks that led nowhere. Elias Ward pressed a hand against his hat as he limped toward the station, a black silhouette against a bruised sky. The wind howled through the broken rafters, rattling loose tin like ghostly applause. He paused beneath the warped sign that read Red Hollow Station, half buried in sand. A single lantern swung by the door, its flame trembling, though no one had lit it. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of ash and oil. The benches were broken, ticket stubs scattered across the floor like old bones. Elias struck a match, the tiny flame flaring bright against the ruin. He cupped at his pipe, drew once, and froze. A whisper cut through the dark. "If you spend the night, I'll finally tell you everything." The match burned down to his fingers before he moved. He turned slow, his boots creaking over warped planks. From behind the ticket window, a shadow stirred. A woman stepping into the lantern's light. She was tall and thin, her black dress clinging to her like smoke. Her hair was streaked with silver, her eyes hollow yet sharp, as if they'd been waiting for him. Elias didn't speak. He set his pipe down on the counter. The woman's voice trembled but carried something fierce underneath. "You shouldn't be here. No one comes this way anymore." "Didn't have a choice," he said, his voice rough. "Storm's coming in." She glanced toward the door, where wind screamed through the cracks. "Then you'll be here till morning." Elias studied her. The set of her jaw, the way her fingers clutched a locket at her throat. "You alone out here?" Her lips curved faintly. "Not for long." Lightning flashed through the windows, throwing both their shadows across the peeling walls. For a heartbeat, he saw her face clearly, not fear, but guilt written deep. He pulled a chair near the fire pit and struck another match. "You said you'd tell me everything," he muttered. "I said that to you?" she asked, frowning. "You said it clear as thunder." The woman looked down, her hand trembling. "Then I suppose I've waited long enough." She walked to a wooden trunk beside the wall, brushed away the dust, and opened it. Inside lay an old revolver wrapped in linen, and beside it, a single gold coin glinting dully in the firelight. Elias felt the weight of the air change. "That's government mint," he said quietly. She nodded. "From the last train that ever stopped here." Outside, thunder rolled over the desert like distant gunfire. She lifted her eyes to his, her voice a whisper again. "They called it the gold train. The night everything burned started right here." And then she smiled, the kind of smile that hides more sorrow than any storm could wash away. The fire cracked between them, sparks snapping like bullets in the dark. Clara's fingers trembled as she turned the gold coin in her hand. The metal caught the light, dull, bruised, scarred by heat. "I remember the sound first," she said softly. "Not the screams, not yet. The wheels." Her eyes drifted past him, into memory. "The train came through the canyon too fast. I was sending the last telegram. Clear line ahead. I tapped just like every night. But that night, there was another message waiting for me. Short. No signature. Just words. We're coming for what's ours." Elias stared into the fire, his jaw tight. "I thought it was a mistake," she went on, "till I saw the riders coming out of the dust. 6 of them. Masks, guns, bandanas red as blood. They circled the station like wolves before dawn." A gust of wind hissed through the cracks in the wall. The fire guttered. "They had my brother with them," she said, voice tightening. "Reed Callahan. You couldn't mistake him. Tall, mean grin. Always carried our father's silver watch like he owned time itself." She swallowed hard. "He said they'd take the gold and be gone before anyone blinked. He said nobody had to die." Lightning flared across the station, painting her face white. But he lied. They all lied. She stood suddenly, pacing the floorboards. Her boots struck the wood like distant drums. "When the train rolled in, I saw soldiers on board, armed. They opened fire before the brakes even screamed. The whole sky lit up. Men fell before they hit the ground." Her hand shook. The gold car caught fire. Someone, maybe Reed, maybe a soldier, hit a barrel of powder. The blast, it tore the world in half. Elias could almost hear it. The roar, the metal screaming, the flood of heat. The firelight flickered in her eyes like that same explosion replaying behind them. "I ran," she whispered. My husband pulled me into the cellar. We barely made it. When I came out, there was nothing left but cinders and bones. Reed was gone. Everyone was gone. The wind outside moaned low through the valley, a sound like a train still rolling somewhere it shouldn't. Clara knelt beside the trunk again and placed the coin on the counter between them. That's all that's left. The soldiers, the gold, the men who tried to steal it, all burned together. Elias reached for the coin, but didn't touch it. "You're sure that's the truth?" he asked. She met his eyes, calm now, almost cold. "You wanted to hear everything. That's how it happened." Another gust of wind rattled the lantern. "But you're not the first to ask," she said, voice lowering. "The others came too. They all left before morning." The lantern flickered once. Then the fire hissed low, as if the room itself was holding its breath. The wind slammed against the station doors, throwing them open with a crack. Dust spiraled through the room, swallowing the firelight in a haze of gold and smoke. Clara flinched, clutching the revolver from the trunk. Elias rose slow, the chair legs scraping the floor. "You expecting someone?" "No one comes here," she said, though her eyes darted toward the window. Thunder rolled close, deep and angry. Elias stepped toward the shutter, peering through a slit. Nothing but dark, shifting sand. He turned back, but Clara's gaze was far away, fixed on something only she could see. "He led them here," she said suddenly. "Reed, my brother." Her words came fast now, like she'd been holding them for years. "We were broke. The farm gone, the land taken. He said one train of gold would fix it all. Said no one would get hurt. I helped him. I sent the message." Elias's expression didn't move. Only his hand, slow and deliberate, went to the inside of his coat. "When the shooting started," she went on, "he changed. Killed anyone who tried to stop him. Killed my husband when he tried to drag me away. Then he ran. Left me here to watch the whole valley burn." She looked at Elias, her voice breaking. "That's what I've been waiting to confess." The fire spat, and in its light, Elias pulled something from his coat, a small, tarnished badge. He set it on the counter, and the metal caught the glow. "Marshal's badge," he said quietly. "Found it once in the ashes out front." Clara stared. "You're—" "I was sent for the train that night," he said, his tone flat, distant. "To bring your brother in. He was supposed to come quiet. He didn't." Her hand tightened around the revolver. "You were there." "I was," Elias said. "I saw the fire swallow the sky. I saw a woman dragged from the wreck before it blew." "You." Her breath caught. He leaned forward, eyes steady. "Been tracking rumors ever since. About a woman who still sends messages from a dead station. About gold buried under the rails." Clara's voice lowered to a whisper. "You came for the gold, then?" He shook his head. "I came to see if ghosts can tell the truth." Outside, lightning split the sky. For a heartbeat, both their faces glowed. Two souls caught between justice and memory. The storm hammered the roof, rain hissing against the window glass. Clara looked down at the badge, then at him. "You're the shadow," she breathed. "The gunman from that night." Elias didn't deny it. He simply took his seat again, the chair creaking under his weight. "I stopped your brother once," he said, voice low. "But some sins don't die easy." The fire popped. Neither moved. Between them, the badge lay gleaming, a single truth pulled from the dark. The storm had passed, but the world felt hollow. The fire was dying, throwing long, trembling shadows up the wall. Clara stood by the open door, revolver in hand, her black dress tugged by the cold dawn wind. Elias watched her from the table, the marshal's badge resting between them, catching the first gray light of morning. "You don't have to run," he said quietly. She didn't turn. "I'm not running. I've been standing still for 15 years. Her voice carried no tremor now, just the weight of truth. Elias rose, his limp heavy against the wooden floor. "The gold," he said. "Where is it?" She nodded toward the tracks outside, half buried under drifts of dust. "Beneath that line, where the train burned out. The ground's been hiding it longer than I ever could." The wind swept through again, whispering like a breath from the grave. "I don't want it," she said. "It was meant to save us. Instead, it cursed us." Elias picked up the badge, feeling its edge dig into his palm. "You still think it's a curse?" She turned, eyes pale in the early light. You ever watch something you love vanish and realize it was your hand that lit the fire? Silence stretched between them, the kind only wide country can hold. Outside, the horizon cracked open with a faint red glow, the first hint of sun bleeding over the desert. He stepped closer. You could come with me. Tell your story. Get it off your shoulders proper. Clara shook her head. No court left that remembers Red Hollow. No law but the wind. She holstered the revolver slowly, her hands steady for the first time. You came for justice. All I have is truth. That's all that's left to give. Elias looked toward the tracks, the rails glowing faint in the new light. Maybe that's enough. She smiled faintly. For you, maybe. Then she stepped out into the dawn. The light caught her hair, the dust curling around her feet like mist. For a moment, she was just a woman walking home after a long night. Then the air shimmered, and she was gone. Elias froze. The door hung open, the wind still moving through. No footprints, no sound, only the badge on the table, the metal warm from the fire, and a whisper curling through the empty room. Now you know everything. He stood there a long time, until the sun crested the hills and painted the rails in gold. The station looked almost alive again, like time itself was taking a breath. When he finally stepped outside, the world was quiet, just wind, just dust, just the endless tracks stretching into nowhere. And somewhere in the distance, faint as memory, a train whistle blew once and faded with the light.